Hi yogis, we're going to do a 45-minute strong shoulder flow. For this one, you'll need a yoga brick and a strap or something similar. I'm using a scarf. Anything that's got a little bit of length to it that you can hold on to will work. Keep them at the top of your mat. We'll come to them in a little bit. But let's get started in a comfortable seated position. If kneeling works for you, great. If you want to stick a block underneath your butt, you can. So come into a position and let's settle onto our mat for a moment. You can close down your eyes, soften your gaze. Pausing. And allowing yourself to settle onto your mat as you prepare to practice. Noticing the breath and endeavoring to find that 360-degree breath. Breathing into belly, back, and side body. You can keep your eyes soft or closed. Let your chin come down towards the chest, the head nice and heavy. Breathing into the back of the neck. And depending on what you're doing with your hands here, it might feel nice to give a little effort into depressing the shoulders. You can roll the chin gently, slowly from left to right, collarbone to collarbone. Pausing. And then shifting over to the other side to pause again for a moment. So if this feels like enough for you, by all means stay here, going from left to right, pausing when needed. If you want a little bit more, next time you come over to that right collarbone, take the right ear back, letting the chin lift up towards the sky, so making this full circle around the neck. As your left ear gets over towards left shoulder, chin will come towards the chest. Again, nice, slow roll across the chest. Ear leads the way, reaches back, chin to the sky. Chin towards chest, rolling. Let's take it one more time in this direction. A nice full circle if it feels okay. As you get to that right shoulder again, let's begin to circle it in the opposite direction. Over to left shoulder. Left ear leads the way back, chin to the sky. Big circle around. Ear to shoulder, chin to chest as you roll. Twice more if it feels okay. No need to rush here, take your time. as you finish up those 3 circles on that left side. You can let your head be quite heavy and dangle towards center. We'll use the hands, we'll bring them to rest over the eyes or to cradle the head without using the neck. So let the hands do the work, let the arms do the work. Lift your head back up into that neutral position, stacked over your shoulders. And then release the hands. If your eyes are closed or soft, let's begin to blink them open now. And you might want to give your shoulders a little bit of a roll around. And if we take the arms out, create fists here. We're going to play with a little bit of shoulder movement and kind of like a cat-cow movement with the spine. So with our fists, we'll turn them so that the knuckles face forward. Find a little internal rotation, so leading with that upper arm, leading with the shoulder, begin to curl inward. The arm, the wrist will follow, maybe even the spine as you begin to round. Keep rotating through the arms. Holding there for a moment. Then unravel the upper arm, the shoulder leading the way. Let's find external rotation through the shoulders, through the arms, lifting up through the chest. Holding there, really fight for that external rotation through the arms. So keep trying to roll that upper arm away. Rolling forward, rolling, spiraling through the arms. Let that be your main focus. Everything else is just a bonus. Unravel. Let's externally rotate. Keep working. Really fight external rotation. If you can, full extension through the arms. And roll yourself forward. Really work that internal rotation. Unravel, roll. Let's try one more time. Really work full external rotation. Keep fighting a little bit more if you can. And internal. Let the arms relax, let the head relax. If you need a little shake out or maybe a little bit of movement through the spine, go there. If you're sitting on your brick, let's move it out of the way. And let's come into a tabletop position. I'm just going to take my socks off so I can move a little bit better. Coming into your tabletop, let's just warm up the wrists a little bit here. So if we start with our placement, placing the hands, moving the wrists into different positions, loading the wrists differently. Again, finding that full extension through the arm each time. You can also flip your palm so that the palm is up. Okay. And from there, if we shift towards our planche position as we plant our hands flat on the mat, chest lifted. Shift back, hips to heels, and then lift forward, planche. Back. Stay there if that feels good. If you want to explore a little active extension through the wrists, as you come into your planche, check out all those wrinkles in the wrists. Keep those wrinkles as you shift the hips back. Arms stay in position. Try and extend up through the fingers. Really try and find more extension through the wrists. Come back, planche. Arms straight, keeping them fully extended if you can, as you extend through the wrist as well. Let's try one more time. Shift forward to planche. Keep all those wrinkles in the wrist. We want to keep them. And shift back. Full extension. Arms, wrists, fingers. Coming back, tabletop position. From here, if we Tuck the toes. Let's explore our downward dog, lifting the hips. Keep your knees bent to begin with as you press through the arms, really trying to reach through the shoulders. It's okay if they come up by the ears as you extend. Well, let's explore a little external rotation or that wrapping sensation around the rib cage. Long spine, maybe pedaling out the heels here. Okay. Taking a few breaths in your downward dog, really trying to work with that external rotation and that full extension up or elevation up through the shoulders. Ripple yourself forward so that you come to a position where your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. Staying up on the toes, begin to walk your feet forward. We want to walk towards the hands and let the weight shift into the hands a little bit more, keeping the hands flat. When you get to a position where your hands are no longer flat, we want to pause, really push into the ground with the hands, feet, legs nice and light. Take a breath in. And then relax, heels down. Hang out in a ragdoll, letting your arms be floppy, maybe even holding onto opposite elbows, dangle there. Lift yourself up halfway. Nice long spine here. Neutral spine. Chin slightly tucked. Pressing the balls of the feet, the heels into the ground. Curl through the spine to fold yourself down. We'll bring the hands onto the mat. Let's step ourselves back into a plank. So you can be in a plank on the toes or you can drop down to the knees. It's completely up to you. From here, collarbones broad, engaging through glutes, engaging through the entire body. Set those shoulders in place. Push your hands into the ground and feel almost as if you're trying to pull yourself to the ground as you lower yourself down. Reset the shoulders. Keep that effort of pulling your hands as you lift up through the chest for a little baby cobra. Elbows drawing back. Lower down. Let's come back into a downward facing dog. Long arms, shoulders, spine. Ripple yourself forward again. Get that stack. Really feel the weight shifting into your hands. As you're on your tiptoes, walk yourself forward. You'll feel the weight shifting towards the hands. It'll always feel like you're coming into that planche position again. Nice and light through the feet. Push into the ground with the hands. Breathe in and relax. Feet to the ground. Ragdoll once again. Let yourself be floppy. If you need to, heel toe your feet a little bit wider. We're going to bend into the knees and lift ourselves into a chair. And so your hands might come out in front or they might reach up. Neutral pelvis here, it's sinking down. Long spine. Breathing in and out. Feel your feet, the balls of the feet, the heels press into the ground. Try and tear your mat in two. Fold yourself over. Legs will lengthen any amount. Halfway lift. Lowering into that fold. And then roll up your spine from the base of the spine all the way up to standing. Take a little roll out through the shoulders. So here, let's grab our rope, our strap, and then have it handy at the top of your mat. Let's come into chair pose again, neutral pelvis as you bend into the knees, finding your position. Rip your mat in two, hips heavy. Your pelvis will tip forward so you fold over the thighs, belly to thighs, and then lengthen your legs any amount. Halfway lift. Hands to the ground. Let's step back into plank. Toes or knees here, it's up to you. Give that tailbone a little tuck. Broad through the collarbones, bend elbows back, pull yourself to the mat. Release toes, set the shoulders. Press down through the pelvis, keep that pull lift up. And then lower yourself down. All right. Stay on your tummy, grab your strap. What we want to do here is hold nice and wide. Start wide, we can always take it a little bit lower. Fully extended arms and straight through the wrists. You'll notice your wrists kind of want to make it a little easier as we move through and bend. Really try and keep them long and straight. Head stays down and an ever so slight tuck under of the pelvis, just so our pelvis doesn't get involved in this movement. Reaching the arms overhead, keep that strap nice and taut. Lift the arms up and take them overhead. Then back. We're going to do this a couple times, keeping the wrists and the arms fully straight, fully engaged. And if you're finding that wide grip quite achievable and you want a little bit more of a challenge your range of motion, take the arms in a little closer or creep those hands in a little closer. It's okay if your forehead lifts up a little bit, but we certainly don't want to be coming into a back bend here, extending too much through the spine. Let's try 2 more times. Nice, strong, extended arms, extended wrists, taking this kind of dislocate movement. And drop down your strap. Hands will come to the chest, set the shoulders, and let's press ourselves into downward facing dog. Push through the shoulders. See if this downward dog feels any different now that we've been working through the shoulders, kind of flossing them a little bit. Bring yourself to your knees. All right, let's work a little bit now into the back of the shoulder. So here is where we'll need a brick. We want to start in a tabletop position. And with your brick, really try not to grab the brick with your fingers. You want to keep the hand flat. I'm going to start with my left arm out in front, and we're going at about 45 degrees. So imagine it kind of going just off that top left corner of your mat. Set your shoulder in place, that right shoulder, so we're not giving into and moving about. Arm at 45 degrees, hold there. Spine nice and neutral. Let's sweep the block in towards elbow flares out, and then reach the arm back behind. Bring that block back in, and then reach the arm at 45 degrees. Fully extend if you can. Then back, block in towards, elbow flares out, reach the block back. Come back through the same way you went around, reach the arm forward. Rest of the body is staying stable the entire time. All right, let's go one more time. As you reach that arm out 45 degrees in front, hold. Chin tucked, shoulders stable. Breathing in and out. Take one more breath. And then bring that block down onto the ground. Let's give it a go on the other side. So setting yourself up, in that tabletop position. Taking the block now into your right hand. That's coming out about 45 degrees-ish out in front of you. Spin that block in, elbow flares out, reach the arm back, fully extend that arm back. Rewind, take that block forward 45 degrees off the mat. Your left shoulder here is stable, the spine neutral. Reaching back. Couple more times. Fully extend, coming back to that 45-degree angle at the front of your mat. Try and resist the urge to grip with your pinky and thumb over that block. One more time, and then we're going to come into that hold. 45 degrees, hold. Three, two, one. Bring that block back down onto the mat. Okay. Keep the block at the top of your mat. Let's come into downward dog. Just as we did before, a little shift over as you come onto tiptoes. Try and stack shoulders over wrists. Tiptoe forward. Keep your hips nice and high. Weight's going to shift. Feel that almost planche sensation pushed into the ground, lighten the feet. Settle the heels down. Floppy ragdoll position. Roll yourself up to standing. All right. Keep your block at the top of your mat. We're going to come into that in a moment. Standing up nice and tall. From here, if we bend into the knees, come into our chair position. Arms wherever feels comfortable. Wherever you are, feel the shoulder lifting up out of its socket, whether that's forward and protracting or up and elevating. Rip your mat in two with your feet. Take a breath. Fold yourself over. Halfway lift. Folding down. Grab your block. Step your left leg back. Come into a warrior 1 foot as you sweep up. Squeeze that block in between the hands. In your warrior 1, give it a little tuck under of your tailbone as you bend into your right knee. Elevating through the shoulders. Folding yourself forward. Keep that block in your right hand. Flat hand on the block as you step yourself back into a plank. Toes or knees as always. That effort with that tucked tailbone, pull yourself down onto the mat. A little asymmetric lower. Release the toes. Find a little back bend. You can float the hands this time, reaching them back. Keep that effort of the pull. Lower yourself back down. Asymmetric downward facing dog. Press your hand into that block. Take one more breath. Lifting right leg up. Step forward in between the hands-ish. Left leg comes forward, fold. Bend into the knees. You can sweep the block into the hand as you come into chair, whichever variation you're coming into. Squeeze that block in between the hands. Right leg goes back this time. In your warrior 1 position, tuck, feet nice and strong. Folding forward, bring your left hand with the block onto the mat. Step back into plank. Toes or knees, set yourself up. Without gripping the block, send those elbows back. Pull yourself to the mat. Untuck the toes. Set the shoulders. Baby cobra, reaching those arms back. Pull. Lower, downward facing dog. Still elevating through the shoulders here. Noticing how it feels as you are in this asymmetric downward dog, or how do your arms compensate for this change in height? Lift your left leg up. Look in between the hands, step forward left, then right, fold forward. Come into your chair. Let's go again. Block in right hand. Let's step back with the left leg. Plant your hands down. This time, step straight into a plank. Tuck your toes. Lower yourself down, pulling yourself onto that mat. Untuck the toes, adding in here. Take your block in between your hands, longest end in between. Head down, extend through the arms. As you push the tops of the feet and the pelvis into the ground, try and float the arms up higher than your head. Keeping that squeeze, try to squeeze that block in between the hands. 3, 2, 1, release. Block in right hand, tuck toes. Let's come into downward dog. Right leg lifts, step forward, left forward, fold. Coming into chair. Folding forward, block on that left hand, you're stepping left, then right, plank. Toes or knees, pull yourself to the mat, asymmetric lower, untuck. You're all on your tummy, set the shoulders, little back bend here. Lower yourself down, block's gonna come out in front of you. Squeeze the block with that longest end in between the hands, head down. Pelvis and feet into the ground, lift the arms up higher than your head. Squeeze the block in between the hands. Release those down. Bring that block underneath left hand and let's step ourselves back into downward facing dog. Left leg lifts up, step forward left, step forward right, fold. Block in between the hands, let's come back into chair, sink hips down. And come all the way up to standing. Have a little shake out through the shoulders. All right. Block down at the top of your mat, coming into your chair. Hips heavy, rip your mat in two. Fold over. Halfway lift, long spine. Hands down onto the mat, step back plank. Set yourself up here, toes or knees. We're gonna lower down in stages. Pull yourself down a quarter of the way, hold. Pull yourself down halfway, hold. 3/4, hold. Lower down to the mat. Set your shoulders. If you've got your brick on your mat, grab it again. Head down, pelvis down, feet down. Squeeze the block in between the hands, lift the arms higher than the head. Your head can stay on the mat here if that's okay, or float it just off, but we're not coming into a back bend here. Lift higher, keep squeezing. 3, 2, 1, relax. Block to the side. Ooh. Let's come into downward dog. Right leg lifts up. Step forward. Let's come into our warrior one position again. A little different with the hands this time. Take the hands behind, make fists, reach them behind the head. If you can, touch and push the fists together, great. Otherwise, towards one another is fine. Keep your tailbone tucked, keep your legs nice and strong and secure. From here, try and float the fists away from your head, keeping the arms and the elbows back rather than curling in front of you. Release the hands. Internally rotate the hands. Bring the fists to a space at the low back again. Keep them away from the low back rather than nesting on the back. Try and push the fists together as the arms float away. Release the arms, reversing. You're coming back into that rotation externally. Bring the fists together at the back of the head. Trying to keep your spine neutral here, resisting the urge to kind of ripple through the spine to make this a little easier. Isolate as much as you can through the shoulder movement. Fists to low back. Keeping them away from the back. Let's go one more time. Lift. Externally rotate. Thumbs, knuckles together at the back of the head. Release. Internal rotation to the low back. Squeeze. Release the hands. Let's come into downward facing dog. Pedaling out the legs. Right. Ripple yourself forward plank. Toes or knees again. Set your body so it's stable. Quarter of the way, lower and pause. Halfway, lower and pause. 3/4, lower and pause. Tummy, relax. Untuck the toes if you have your brick handy. Last time, I promise. Squeeze that block in between the hands. Head down, pelvis down, feet down. Shoulders reaching, squeeze that block. Lift the arms higher than the head. Again, head might float off the ground a little bit. Keep the chin tucked, squeeze. 3, 2, 1, relax. Block to the side. Let's come into downward dog. Okay, nearly done with this flow. Left leg comes up and we step forward. Let's find out warrior one. Setting yourself up, keep that tailbone tucked if you can. Let's find that position, fists towards the back of the head, but floating away. Squeeze them together. Pressing towards one another, release. Internal rotation, come to the back. Hovering just away from the low back. Press the fists together, keeping the shoulders stable. Release. Externally rotate, unravel, come to the back of the head. Release. Internal rotation, fists to the back. One more time. Release. Coming back. Squeezing. Relax. Internal rotation of the shoulders, then to the low back again. Release the hands. Step yourself into a downward facing dog. How do your shoulders feel now as you settle into this position? Let's ripple forward, coming into a tabletop position. Sink your heels to your hips to your heels. I don't know why that was lost on me for a moment. And take a little breather here. Just letting the shoulders settle. Spine nice and long. Breathing in and out. All right. Let's come forward. If your wrists have had enough for the moment, come onto forearms. That's completely fine. Or stay on your wrists. Neutral position through the spine, so we're not kind of tipping forward or tucking under. Let's work through a little bit of scapula here. So Sink the chest down. Feel for drawing the scaps towards one another, and that's the shoulder blades. Try and get the whole length of the scapula, so it's not just the upper part of the shoulder, it's the part down here, that pointy end. So as you draw them back or retract them back, sinking in. Imagine trying to squish a grape or squeeze a marble in between. And then push through, try and dome through, letting the shoulder blades, the scapulas wrap around the rib cage. Sink in again, retract, draw those shoulders together. And then round. Let's move through this a couple of times. Well, let's go once more. Sinking, squeeze that grape. And protract, let them slide and wrap around. Sink your hips to your heels and get your hands down by your ankles. Take a little rest in child's pose. Let your shoulders be nice and soft and floppy here for a moment. Let's take one more breath. Rolling yourself up. We're going to come into a thread the needle shape. I'll just give myself a little more room here. Thread the needle, so tabletop position, or stick in that child's pose if that's more comfortable. Reach your right arm up. Thread it through. You may be able to bring your shoulder to the ground. If you need, you can bring blocks to bring the ground a little bit higher, and you might also rest your head on a pillow or a block so it's not dangling uncomfortably out to the side. If that doesn't work for you, keep the movement a little bit more dynamic and thread that way. I'm going to settle down onto the ground, and so if you're here, your supporting left hand can shift wherever you like. Let's explore pressing that right arm into the mat. See if we can make this a little bit more of an isometric stretch. Breathing in and out. Take one more breath. That supporting hand comes to the mat, lifts up. If you want to take a nice big stretch in the opposite direction, take your right arm to the sky. And let's give it a go on the other side. Tabletop position. Left hand again, dynamically, or come to that static stretch. Right hand onto the ground, supporting you. Push your left arm into the ground or into your blocks if you're using them. Let's take one more breath. And relax through the arm. Right hand will help press us up. Maybe you take that big sweep of the arm up into the air and then back down onto the ground. We're going to take our final posture using our props here. So if you've got your bricks handy, we're going to use those. We're just going to set them up at the top of the mat. You might have one brick at a lower height and another brick at maybe the medium height, setting them up almost to make that T shape. We're going to lay down over the bricks, and you want that longer brick or the narrower brick to sit in between the shoulder blades. We don't want it kind of up into the neck. We want it nice and low, nestled in between those shoulder blades. So it might take a little bit of setting up and adjusting. You can always bring that brick that's underneath the head to a higher height if you're still feeling like you're getting a lot through the neck. If you want a little bit more, you can always get rid of it completely if you like that sensation. So your choice here, your position. As for your legs, we want the hips to be on the ground, but other than that, you can put them anywhere you like. Bent, together, butterfly, long, your choice. Arms exactly the same. Whatever you feel is going to give you a nice juicy stretch. I like to give myself a bit of a hug here or make big circles with the arms just to kind of give a little massage to that space in between the shoulders. So feel free to explore that as you settle into this position. And when you find a nice position that feels like you can be still and settle into for a while, maybe closing down the eyes, letting the body relax, letting time, letting gravity, letting that stillness do the work for you now. And if at any time this position gets too intense, find a different shape. Maybe get rid of those blocks altogether. Come into a lower height or settle in a different position. This should be enjoyable. Allowing your breath to deepen. Feel yourself breathing into that prop if you're still laying on it. Feeling the rib cage, the lungs expand. It might feel nice to get a little bit of movement once again into that shape, rolling through shoulders. Wriggling through toes and legs. If you reach your arms overhead, it might feel nice as you roll to one side to catch your head on your arm. As you pause on one side for a moment, again, breathe into that space where the prop was. When you're ready, press up. Come to that comfortable seated position. And you can keep your eyes closed or soften your gaze. Hands in whatever gesture feels most appropriate. Offering this as a gesture of gratitude for ourselves, our body, our practice, for everything we are capable of. Thank you for practicing with me. Take care.